It is such an honor and a privilege to be able to be with you all. Thank y'all for visiting the GBEF staging area and being a part of these really powerful conversations. Again, my name is Monica Simpson. I'm the Executive Director of Sister Song. We are the Southern-based National Women of Color Reproductive Justice Collective, and we have a really powerful panel that's about to come to you to really talk about the issues, to really talk about the work, and to really dig into what we really need as black women, as we trust black women. Do y'all trust black women? Can y'all say trust black women? I would love to bring my panelists to the stage. As they all come up, I'll introduce them as they come to their seat. You will see Deon Haywood. She's the Executive Director of Women with a Vision, based right here in New Orleans, Louisiana. Coming behind her is my Congresswoman, Congresswoman Nakima Williams of Georgia. Coming behind her is the legendary Latasha Brown. Y'all give it up for Latasha Brown in the building. Behind her is Jamila Lemieux. Look, come on now. Make some noise. And following in the rear, but definitely not last, is our sister Kwajalein Jackson. She is the director of the Feminist Women's Health Center. Y'all give this panel a beautiful round of applause. Let's take our seats, y'all. So we're going to dig just right in, right? But before I dig into the questions that I have for each one of you, I want to set the context a little bit, right? So we're here on day 2 of this experience at the Essence Festival of Culture, and this is the day that's really rooted in wealth, right? And for us in this panel, we wanted to expand the conversation of wealth to not only talk about the importance of economics, but to also talk about a very important topic that is directly connected to this conversation, which is our work around achieving reproductive justice. How many folks have heard of reproductive justice before? Okay. So this reproductive justice framework is one that was created by black women in 1994 that really advocates for our human right to bodily autonomy, meaning to make our own decisions about our bodies and what happens to our bodies and what we do with our bodies. It is about the human right to not have children and to prevent and end pregnancies with dignity and not with shame, to be able to have the children that we want in the ways that we want, and to be able to parent our children in healthy and safe environments. So this movement is extremely intersectional, is extremely rooted in black women's excellence, and it's very important to what we are seeing happening today. Do y'all agree?
Yes.
All right, we're going to move into our first conversation, or our first question, rather, and I'm going to direct that to my dear sister, Deon Haywood. So, Deon, we are here in your city.
Yes.
We are here in your state,
yes.
Right? And the work that Women with a Vision does every single day permeates deeply into Louisiana, but absolutely has an impact all over the South, right? So in what ways do you all organize with the reproductive justice framework, and how have you seen its impact on your communities?
Hey, Monica.
Hey, Deon.
Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all. This is an exciting day. We get to talk about the one thing we love and the one thing that's going to take us forward. So Women with a Vision is 34 years old. We were started by 8 black women who decided that enough wasn't being done for black women with HIV in our communities. And so 34 years ago, and over the years, our work has expanded in ways I don't think our foremothers thought about. They weren't thinking about, they knew that the importance of voting, but we have a vibrant, rigorous voter engagement program here in New Orleans and throughout the state. We also tackle criminalization and what that looks like for women involved in sex work, or drug policy for anybody in our community that's struggling with addiction. And we also, through our voter engagement, we hire formerly incarcerated women, women who've been sex workers, formerly incarcerated women, and we try to pay them at least $15 an hour. And why we do that is because the state of Louisiana does not have a minimum wage. They use the federal minimum wage. They have yet to pass one. And so people are making $7.25 an hour, and we all know that that is not working, or it has never worked for any of us. And so the way we see the idea of reproductive justice in its framework is in our everyday work and how we serve our community. And lastly, I'll say, you can tell how far we've come with this issue. We partner with the New Orleans health department. So we are actually in 3 of the public libraries, 2 in community, and 1 you may have passed on Tulane and Loyola. And we give out Plan B, we give out Narcan. And so to be able to bring that to our community, we have community partners who are stylists and makeup artists who are educated on how Plan B works, and they give that out. And we still do work around harm reduction, definitely trying to bring humanity to drug users in the Black community. And that, for me, is reproductive justice.
Absolutely, it is. Talk about on the ground work, right? I'm going to now move to you, Congresswoman Nikema Williams. Shifting to the state of Georgia, right? My home state, too. And Nikema is also my congresswoman, so I mean, I love her dearly, right? But you are in a very diverse district in Georgia. They call it the Fighting Fifth, right? And yet although that's, we love the energy of Georgia, we love the energy of Atlanta, we still see that Georgia, right, has some interesting things to deal with as a state. And I would love for you to talk to us a little bit about, like, how can we really truly understand what's at stake for Georgians right now as we think about that? And what are the strategies that you are doing with your office in particular to help bridge the gap?
Thank you, Monica, and hello, everybody. Monica, I think we need to look at this in the context of just where we are in everything, and like framing it in the reproductive justice framework and the intersectionality of all of our issues is exactly what we should be doing, especially in Congress. Because when I make a law, it impacts every part of your life. And so it is important that as we engage and we elect members to Congress, that we elect people that are willing to bring their full selves to the job, their lived experiences. I represent Atlanta, y'all. Atlanta has the largest racial wealth gap in the country. And then when you look at the stats in Georgia around Black maternal health, it is more women die within 1 year of childbirth in Georgia than they do in third world countries. And the economic part, the racial wealth gap, connected to our health care or lack thereof, and our ability to thrive is all connected. So I am so grateful for the RJ framework so that I can help school some of my colleagues in Congress, because they want me to choose what I'm caring about on which day. Do you care about your uterus today? Do you care about your bank account today? What do you care about today? Ooh. But y'all, you have to bring your full selves to the work. And so that's what I strive to do as your congresswoman in the Fighting Fifth.
Absolutely, baby.
And so, like, even the voting conversation, if you look at the states with all of these voting rights restrictions, they're the same states with abortion restrictions. They're the same states that have the worst racial wealth gaps in the country. And then plug for another way that we're working on this, Dion. You talked about serving incarcerated women or formerly incarcerated women. We still have a clause in the U.S. Constitution that allows slavery for punishment of a crime. But I have a solution for that too, y'all.
Come on now.
So I have a bill to amend the U.S. Constitution to get rid of the exception. Now, in New Orleans, they had some little crazy language on the ballot, so we didn't quite get it right there.
Right.
But we have work to do, and 13 states have already ratified their state constitution, but that was put in place so that they could continue to get free labor from our people.
Yes.
And so it all ties into the racial wealth gap, who's able to build generational wealth, and that all ties into our bodily autonomy and the laws that are passed across this country. So we have to be mindful of the people that we elect.
Yes.
We need to send more people that bring their lived experiences to the work that they do so that we can have policies that surely impact people and change their lives for the better.
Absolutely, Congresswoman Nikema. And just so you all know, right behind us, there is the Trust Black Women Sister Song booth. And to what Congresswoman Nikema was saying, we are holding our elected officials accountable. You can sign today our pledge that says that we will only vote for those candidates and those folks who are holding reproductive justice values. So the more people this weekend that we get to sign that pledge, we get to send it out all across this country so that these elected officials know what we hold dear, right? So you can take an action right after this to do that work right over there at the booth right behind you.
Sign the pledge, y'all.
Come on, y'all. Come on. So I'm going to now move to our sister, LaTosha Brown. She is one of the co-founders of Black Voters Matter. Y'all give it up for Black Voters Matter. Changing the game in terms of voter education, bringing Black people to the polls. It has completely changed the way that we are doing this work in this country. Absolutely. And we've heard this term intersectionality. quite a few times on the panel already, right? And so Latasha, with your work at Black Voters Matter, you have been so effective at making the connections clear, the interconnections clear, that our right to vote is directly connected to our human right to bodily autonomy. So why is it important for us to organize intersectionally across all these different movements? And how do we do that effectively?
Well, the first thing I did right was the day I started to fight. Keep your eyes on the prize and hold on, hold on. You know, that's a freedom song. That's a civil rights song. I'm a native of Selma, Alabama, and they would sing that. And I wanted to start with that because I think sometimes we believe that while we're being attacked on these various issues, it's all the same source, y'all. That is coming from a space around power and resources. That there are those who are in power that don't want anybody outside of themselves. And so we have to see that these issues are really connected because the source and what's behind them are still the same thing. Is really around the distribution of resources and power. Who has power and who can exercise that power over body, power over their communities, power over decisions being made by them. And I think when we think about, you know, when I think about strategies, the second part of your question around what it is that we need, you know, I put it in like 4 buckets. I think the first thing we have to do is we have to elevate the conversation. We have to stop allowing the other side to actually control the narrative and that we're constantly responding. We have to literally make sure that we're saying, this is what we want, not about we're going to respond to you, because what we have right now, even currently what we have right now, even if we're talking about the Voting Rights Act, that wasn't the end all or be all. That was a starting point for us, that we have to take this as an opportunity to push even further. The second thing I think we have to do is we have to be honest with folks and talk to people about what they care about, which is their power, not about a political candidate, not about a political party. We have to talk about those things, but we can't center that. We have to center people power because that's what's going to tap in and move people a little bit differently. And we have to recognize that. The third thing we have to do, we got to resource it. We've got to resource this work. Black Voters Matter, one of the things that we did, we were very intentional. In the last 5 years, we always give half our budget, we're going to give it out in community. That we've given away $33 million to Black-led groups in the last 5 years.
Come on.
Right, we're walking the walk.
Yes.
We're saying if we can do that, if we can do that starting with nothing, that other entities should be making that kind of investment, that we're leading with not we just having the talk, but we're walking the talk, that we actually are saying we're fighting for resourcing, but also recognizing that our community needs resources. And the fourth and the final thing is that we've got to create as many spaces as possible for people to generate Black joy, that what we are experiencing is traumatic. And so with our work, we're organizing. We organize around good food. We organize with music. We organize about those things that actually affirm us as Black people. We have the Blackest bus in America.
Yes, you do.
That we actually ride around, and we're jumping off on the Blackest bus in America, being the Blackest organizers, strategies as we can use. And we have to also see that and integrate that as part of our work, not coming with the frame that's always gloom and doom, but we've got to actually help people have a radical reimagination of what is possible, so that as we're organizing, we're not just responding to this America that some folks that couldn't even see our humanity, but that what we are really doing is we're saying we are founders of a new America, and that we're going to create the vision and the America that we desire and that we deserve.
Yes. Woo, that radical reimagination. I love that. I love that. Now, I love that. So, Jamila, I'm going to stay on that vein, right, that Latasha so eloquently brought to us. And on that last point of around that joy and radical reimagination and really creating the new America, right, that we want to see, which is absolutely our ancestors' wildest dreams of us, right? But you are such a powerful culture icon, and you are absolutely a powerful cultural critic. And you really use your platform to help us think about things deeply and more intently, right? And so what do you see as missing from this conversation right now, in particular around bodily autonomy and this conversation of reproductive justice? And as we are thinking about building towards our ancestors' wildest dreams, what should we be keeping in mind?
I think missing from this conversation about reproductive justice is the impact on Black families.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Because when black women are affected, black children are affected because we're the primary caregivers of black children. So if somebody can't seek abortion services and is forced to carry another pregnancy to term when they're already caring for children, that could be absolutely devastating. We don't talk about how black elders are affected because black women are overwhelmingly responsible for elder care in our community. So anything that harms black women harms the collective.
That's right.
You know, because of the role that we play in our community. And I think that as a people, we've never collectively organized or galvanized around issues that censor black women effectively. We have not made the black woman's right to bodily autonomy a priority as the community. You know, there are some within the community that don't believe we deserve bodily autonomy. We're not just fighting against the state, we're fighting against some of our own people.
That's real.
You know, but I think that in order to get closer to realizing our ancestors' dreams of freedom, we have to make black women a priority. We have to put black women on the menu. We have to say that what happens to black women happens to us all.
That's what I'm talking about. And I'm so glad that you brought up the how challenging and kind of interesting it can be for us to not only think about the fights that we have against the state, right, and how we use that term, but also the healing and the work that needs to be done internally, right, in our communities to also address this issue. And so, Kwajalein, I know that this is something that you have to deal with, right? You are the director of the Feminist Women's Health Center, one of the oldest in the country, in Atlanta, Georgia. And you are a black woman leading a health center that provides abortions unapologetically every single day in a state that is already hard in so many ways, but battling a 6-week abortion ban. So an independent clinic is something I really want people to understand in this room, what it takes to really operate and lead an independent clinic in this type of climate today. So I want you to just take a moment to tell us what does it take to really maintain that? And then how do you, in the midst of all that's happening, keep an abundance mindset to be able to serve your patients with care in the ways that you do?
Thank you so much, Monica. I'm really grateful to be here with everybody. Feminist Women's Health Center was founded in 1976, but I became the first black executive director in 2018.
Wow.
We have been serving a population of black people in the South that entire tenure with not just abortion care, but also gynecological care, contraceptive care, and gender-affirming care, which are all critical to our communities to survive and thrive. Abortion has always been difficult in the United States. It is even more so in this particular moment. So trying to maintain our services unencumbered as we can, while we are actively turning away people who are in desperate situations because the law will not allow for us to give the care that we know how to do. At the same time, the community of people who are providing that care are also black people just like us. So we are our community. We are people who have had abortions, who are parenting children, who are queer and trans, who come from poor and underserved communities. We are serving the very same people that we go home and kiss before they go to bed. So trying to make sure not only that we are able to provide the highest quality care to everyone who comes in our doors, but that we are also able to care for the caregivers is difficult. An independent abortion provider, we are a nonprofit. We are trying to make sure that we can keep our costs low so that we don't pass on that to our patients who we know are uninsured, who cannot use their Medicaid, who are living in unstable housing, but also make sure that I can pay my staff a thriving reproductive justice wage that will allow them to take care of their families. In order to try to make sure that I keep my hope, it's a lot of what Latasha just shared. Being able to hold fast to a very clear vision of what liberation looks like, because there's a lot of things to be angry about, and our rage is righteous, but rage can't always keep you going. Hope is the real fuel. Rage is like lighter fluid. It'll spark you up real quick, but you can't heat your house on lighter fluid. You got to have something that will burn more consistently over time. And so that's what hope and vision is for me in order to keep me going every single day, because I absolutely believe that abortion will be restored in the United States of America.
Absolutely.
And it will be through our doing.
Absolutely. It will be because of our doing. Thank you so much, Kwajalein. I mean, these are powerful, powerful leaders, right? And they are on the front lines every single day, using their voices, putting their bodies on the line to ensure that reproductive justice, our right to bodily autonomy, our right to cast our vote and put the right people into positions of power is happening every day. They're creating care for our communities every single day. They are holding it down for folks in the streets every single day. Can we give this panel one more round of applause for their work and their powerful, powerful, powerful work? Again, I want to remind you right behind you at the Trust Black Women booth, you can sign that pledge today. We need as many people as possible to sign that pledge to make a huge impact, right, in terms of how we are moving our elected officials. We are out of time, but I do want to give our panelists just one more moment to leave us with just a nugget of wisdom. This panel was called Trust Black Women, We Are Our Ancestors' Wildest Dreams. And so can we leave this audience with some parting words of like, what does that mean for us, whether it's a quote, whether it's a word that they can take with them as they think about how they are also their ancestors' wildest dreams.
Thank you, Monica. So I would like to ask each one of you to take this, every message we had up here today with you. I would like to ask you to start holding our people. It is an act of white supremacy when we disown our own, when we throw them away, because all the wins we got is because somebody was loving on somebody. And we really, Natasha said it best, she does it best, but we really have to hold each other. We cannot afford to throw any of our people away. Even if you don't agree with how they live, you hold them. You don't throw your family members away all the time, even though you might want to.
Right.
But I'm just asking that you hold the people in your community, and if you're not involved in any way, find an organization that speaks to your beliefs, that speak to the growth of our community and the blackness that we hold.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Nikema. Yes.
Live your lives out loud and on purpose, y'all. Bring your full selves to everything that you do.
Absolutely. Thank you, Congresswoman. Latasha?
You got to tap in, sisters. Sisters, it's time to tap in.
That's it.
Yes, strategy matters, but it's our strength and it is our spirit that has always changed this country. It is time for you to tap in.
Come on, tap in. Let's go. Jamila, what you got for us?
Center Black women, because what's good for us is good for all.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Kwajalein?
I'm going to paraphrase the freedom fighter Mary Hooks, that we are going to avenge the suffering of our ancestors. We are going to make the next generation proud, and we are going to be transformed in the service of the work.
Absolutely. Y'all, it is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love and protect each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. That is from our dear sister and comrade, Assata Shakur. Thank you all for being a part of this panel, giving us your attention. I'm again Monica Ray Simpson with Sister Song.